All right, so wait, what? Right, so let's take a look at some of the code that I'm providing for you that you can get started on. So here's some of the data model that perhaps you already have. Right, so let's see where we are. So you might already have classes that capture the course. Notice that here we are using the default implementation. We're using identity. Here's a one-to-many relationship between a course and a list of modules. We are ignoring the list of modules so that when we retrieve a course, they don't also retrieve the list of modules, right? So it only retrieves the fields for the course. So this you should already have. Okay, so I'm not going to go over this too much. The modules you might already have that the modules have a one-to-many relationship with lessons, right? So a module might have many lessons, but in addition you have a many-to-one with your parent, right? With the course. So this again you also should have, right? Where you have a many-to-one back to your parent and you have a one-to-many with your children. Yes? And so you should already have that. And then you might have also something like this in lessons where you might have a many-to-one that goes with modules, right? That says that one module has many lessons. Right? So you might already have that. And perhaps you have additionally here mappings down to topics or widgets. Yes? All right, so having that, the schema might look something like this, right? Here's the course. And then you have modules having foreign keys back to the course that they belong to, right? So you should already have this, right? Modules pointing to their parent course. And you might have also the lessons pointing back to their modules. Wait a minute. Am I looking at the right thing? Course service. Oh yeah. Okay. Excellent. Right. So I've inserted a couple of courses. I've inserted a couple of modules. I've inserted a couple of lessons. Notice that the data here, right, is that these are the top level courses, right, with their own IDs 1 through 7, and then I created modules for 2 of the courses, right? Notice that I've added React, Angular, Node.js, MongoDB to the webdev course, and I've added SQL and UML modules to the database course, right? So that's you see the foreign key here, 1 and 3 here, pointing to the different course that they belong to. Yes, and then lessons. I've added lessons only to the modules in the webdev course, right? So those I believe I added them to only 2. Oh no, actually no. Yeah, these are lessons under the React module, and here are lessons under the SQL module under the database course. Okay, so I've explored navigating multiple courses, multiple modules, multiple lessons. Okay, and what else? That's it, right? Let's look at the services. This is what the services might look like. What you might already have. If you go to /API course, it retrieves all the courses, right? And that's you should already have that. If you instead want to look at a module, it'll look something like this, right? Go API course, the course ID, and the module. Just return all the modules for a given course, right? So, and again, you should already have that, right? This is used as a course repository. It finds that particular course, and then it returns all the modules inside of that course, right? So. Same thing for the lessons. If you drill down and you follow course and course ID, module and module ID, and then you go down to lessons, you only really need the module ID, right? So you can retrieve that module ID, and with that module ID, you can then return the lessons in that module. So again, you might already have that. The client might look something like this, right? So here's a course list. So course list. What we want to be able to do is navigate from a course to the modules to the down to the lessons, then down to the the widgets, and then down to an exam, and then down to the questions in an exam. So it's a fairly deep navigation. So let's look at the first three levels there, right? The first three layers. So first, let's look at looking at the list of courses. So the list of courses, all these lists will be part of a navigation stack, right? So we like to be able to list all the courses, and as I select the course, it'll go to the modules, right? And it'll put the course in the stack, right? And then I can navigate down to the lessons. It'll put the modules in the stack, right? And I go down to widgets. It'll put the lessons in the stack, and so on and so forth. And then I can pop the stack going back up. Yes. So this is the top level part of the stack. It has the navigation options as courses. So that's what's going to show up in the title at the top. Yes. And here we can fetch. Right. This is us fetching from the server. We can do it here in the constructor, or better yet, might be perhaps in the component will receive props. Right. That might be a better place. If you have props that are going to change, right, from one selection to the next, right? Here there's no change, right? It's always going to be the same courses, right? Maybe if we want to model multiple universities and maybe each university has a set of courses, then maybe we want to put it in the course will receive props. Okay, that would be an alternative. But here there's only one university, and we only have one set of courses. Yes. All right, so here in the constructor, we are fetching, right? We're going back out to the API, retrieving all the courses. We are parsing it, and we're setting it in the state courses, right? And we're also initializing the state so that to make sure that at least we have a default empty list of courses. Yes? Everybody good? All right. So in the from the rendering part, right? It's as easy as just iterating over the this.state.courses, right? You iterate over that, and as you iterate, we are going to render an individual list item for each one of the courses, right? And the title is just going to be the title of the course, right? And the key is just going to be the index, the unique index. Make sense? Right. So that's easy, right? So that's the navigation and that's a code I'll give you after class. All right, so how about drilling down, right? When I select on a particular course, I would like to be able to navigate down and fetch the modules for that course, right? So it's almost identical to what we just did, almost identical. We're going to refactor the list items for the courses so that when it's pressed, right, when you press on the list item in the courses, in the course list, it's going to use this.props.navigation, which was passed to us because we're part of a stack, right? We're going to use the navigate function, right? And we're just going to navigate to the module list, right? Module list, presumably, the module list is the one that renders the list of modules. And we're going to pass as an argument, the course ID. Because you could click on any one course. So we need to let the module list know which modules for which course. So we were passing as argument the course ID. Yes? Now, on the module list, here it is. We configure the navigation options so that in the modules appears at the top. Yes? And then here, instead of doing the fetching in the constructor, right? In the constructor, we're only going to initialize the state, an empty list of modules, and an initial course ID of 1, right? So a default course ID of 1, right? If somehow it's not passed to us, we'll render the first course, all right? So instead of doing in the constructor, fetching in the constructor, we'll do that in the component.mount, right? And we need to do it here because the props are being passed to us when it mounts, right? And every time we navigate to different course, right? This function will be called every single time, right? With a different argument, with a different course ID, okay? So here we're going to use the props navigation, right? That gets passed to us in the properties, and in there's a getParam function that we looked at yesterday, yes? In the get params, we can read the parameters that were passed to us when they clicked on the list item. Okay? We retrieve the course ID and we default it to 1. If you don't pass it to us, we'll default it to 1. Right? So the course ID, we store it at a local constant, and then we set it in the state. Right? We set it in the state, course ID, and then we use it to build a URL for it. Right? So there's a course ID /module. As you remember, that's mapped to the list of modules for the parent course, right? In the REST controller. Once we have that, we retrieve the modules from the response and we add it to the state modules. Okay, and now it's just it's just a matter of rendering it, right? Just iterating over the modules. Right, mapping over the modules and rendering as individual list items with unique key identifiers, and the title will be just a module.title. Okay, and there it is. So there we've navigated down to modules, and we have the list of modules for that particular course. Okay, right, and navigating down to lessons is identical. Right, navigating down to lessons is identical to this. So we want to navigate down to the not lists. These are lessons for module. We're going to pass the course ID and the module ID. We only really need the module ID. We don't really need the course ID, but we could. Right? We have it right from our parent. Pass it to us, so we can either read the course ID from the state. Right? Well, actually, we do need it, right? Because the URL is expecting the course ID. But we could have a shorter URL where we only pass the module ID, right? And so it would be /modules module ID /lesson. Remember we talked about alternative ways of using RESTful URLs. Well, anyway, yeah. So here we're passing both. One of them is from the state, right? We saved it. When we did in our props will change, right? So that's where we saved it. The other one is the module ID of the iteration from the map, right? As we're iterating over all the modules, right? So here's we're rendering the list item. We're refactoring here and passing both the course ID and module as parameters. And on the lesson side, right? This code is identical to the module. Right? We have the navigation options, we have the constructor with a default empty set of lessons, default course ID, default module ID, and in the componented mount, we read the course ID and the module ID from the parameter, right? And we use it to build the URL, right? The course ID, module ID, lesson, right? And we pass it down to the RESTful service. This comes back with a list of lessons. And we save it to the state. Okay, notice that here I'm using a shorthand. Right? Remember the ES6 allows us to, if the property and the value are the same, we can just say the name of the property. It'll understand that the value is also the same, right? All right, and then we just render and iterate over the lessons. And retrieve them, right? And then we just render the lessons for that. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, that's it.